muted.
All right, thanks again, everybody, for joining us virtually here. Again, looking forward to playing Duke Saturday. First off, I want to congratulate Boogie Basham for being invited to the Reese Senior Bowl. That's a great honor for him, and also for being named a class senior top 30 candidate. Boogie is an outstanding player, but also his leadership, his maturity, how he's grown in our program has been so rewarding to watch. And here's a guy that decided to come back for a fifth year, play, not opt out. And he's just playing really a high level of football for us. And his effort has been as good as it's ever been. And he's always played with great effort. So we're really positive of him. Disappointed with the outcome of North Carolina. But sometimes when you win, there's things you didn't do well that get covered up by the win. And sometimes when you lose, there's some things that you really do well. I think there was a lot of positives from the game. Our offense, I think at one point was clicking as well as it's been clicking all year against high-level competition. I thought there was a period there that our defense did settle in. But it was extremely disappointing to have a 21-point lead in the third quarter and give that up. And we just didn't execute as well down the stretch as we needed to. We certainly lost some key players that we didn't have in the fourth quarter. But you need your depth to step up and get open, make catches, get the ball on the ground, play the coverage that's called. And we had some critical breakdowns, on defense. And part of that is North Carolina. North Carolina, the receivers, you have to defend all three of them. The running backs are really good in the pass game. And defend a team like that, you got to do some different things. And again, we just didn't get the job done. So there was a lot of positives in terms of the effort. I thought our special teams were solid. But again, you can't play 38 minutes of a game. You've got to play 60 minutes, and we didn't do that. But we've got to bounce back and play a Duke football team that's really been snake bitten this year. We look past the 2-6 record. We look at a team that was down 4 against Notre Dame. That was in the fourth quarter with Virginia Tech with a chance to win, that had a lead against Virginia. They really, 4 of those games, they were either had the lead or a one-score game with the football in the fourth quarter. So they're very productive on offense. Both their backs, Jackson and Durant, are high-level players. Again, it's another two-headed monster. Those guys have close to 1,200 yards. Waters is starting to play more for him, and he's also a very good back. We tried hard to recruit Jake Bobo. I think Calhoun's a really good player. Phil Johnson certainly had a heck of a game against us a year ago with his kick returns. The tight end is as good of a pass-catching tight end that we've played this year. He's their leading receiver. And their offensive linemen, those guys are solid across the board. It's an offense that's averaged over 400 yards a game. They run the ball well. They're very well balanced. And I think the quarterback gets better and he's getting more comfortable. And then defensively, this is one of the best fronts that we'll play. You look at Rump and Victor 51, that is as good a pass rushing combo that we play. And, they, like us, have had some injuries in the secondary. But this will be a very competitive football game, like Duke Wake Forest, usually is. So I think we have a really big challenge ahead of us. And I think these guys are exceptional in the kicking game. They really, again, it's well thought out. They're aggressive. They've blocked 3 punts in the last 2 games. Obviously, we respect their kick and punt return game. They put a highlight film together of what they did against us a year ago. So, we have to play well in all 3 phases.
Dave, how would you characterize the kind of mood and focus of the team the last couple days?
Well, I'd say Sunday and Monday, our guys were crushed. I mean, that was a heartbreaking loss. We consider that game a big rivalry, even though we don't play them every year. You know, a lot of our players know their players, grew up with their players. I mean, it is a big rivalry game. And I mean, it was, you know, it was Sunday, it was not good. Guys were really, really down. And I take that as a good thing. You only get really, really down if you really care about something. So, you know, but again, it happened. What's our response? And the response to that is critical. So, you know, that's sports and that's life. You know, if you're going to have these unbelievable moments after Virginia Tech that you're lifting guys up and singing with the band and smiling and dancing, those moments are incredible highs. But every time you go out there and you kick it off, you know, that can happen. Or, you know, you can have just a heartbreaking defeat. And that's what makes athletics so great, is that you experience both ends of that spectrum. And we certainly have in the last few weeks here. So again, after Virginia Tech, we had to get past that win and get ready for Syracuse. And after North Carolina, we've got to get past that loss and get ready for Duke. And like I said, there's a lot of good things that we did in that game. But again, certainly the quality of the opponent, maybe there's a handful of teams we could have played like that and still found a way to win. But against North Carolina, their firepower, I mean, that game you had to play 60 minutes. And like I said, I thought we played, you know, 38, 39 minutes of really good football. In the last 21 minutes, they completely outplayed us.
Dave, Coach, you just mentioned the offense, the rhythm that you guys showed against Carolina. How much of that is a repeatable thing that you looked at on film and said, okay, this is a sign that we can kind of carry this through the remainder of the schedule offensively?
Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting to see Donovan Green play the way that he did. I think in some ways that was Donovan Green's best game. Sam Hartman played extremely well. On the offensive line, we were short Michael Juergens, and Taleni Sorin stepped in and played well. I think both of our running backs continue to play well. Ja'Cory Roberson has really become a very, very good slot, reliable, dependable receiver for us. And most of these guys are guys that have never started before. And so now we're 7 games into a season, breaking in 9 new starters. And these guys are growing up right in front of our eyes. So that part of it is really encouraging. Now, you know, you can't do it for 3 quarters. You know, if you're going to be an elite team, if you're going to be one of the top teams in the ACC, when you play games against other really good teams like North Carolina, you know, you can't have that execution for 38 minutes and then not execute, you know, and again, you score 53 points, you should win the game. You know, but when we were up by 21, you know, our next 5 drives on offense, we didn't get any points. You know, so you can't put up 45 points and then just go into hibernation for the next 15 minutes. You know, and obviously defensively, you know, we gave up 35 points in the last 21 minutes, including 28 in the fourth quarter. So it's really easy to say, well, you know, you score 53, you should win. But, you know, the job on offense is to outscore their offense. So as well as we played on offense, you know, we didn't finish the game the way we could have and should have and needed to win the game.
And Coach, how difficult is it for you to bring all of your guys back to center a little bit, to refocus? And like you mentioned, it's the highs and lows of playing sports. And when you have such a heartbreaking loss like that, what do you have to do as a head coach to make sure your guys can retain that focus and come back to center so this kind of slip up maybe doesn't happen again in the future?
You put on the film at Duke and you move ahead, and that's what we do. I mean, it's, you know, this is my 36th year in college football as a player and as a coach. and there's always a game the next week. And you can't bask in the glory of the past win, and you can't just be involved in self-pity with the loss. There's another opponent, there's another game, there's another week of preparation, and the good teams are able to make that weekly commitment regardless of whether they won or lost the last game. And so, you get them together, and, the saying is you don't let a team beat you twice. So North Carolina was certainly a disappointing finish. There's a lot of good things we did in that game. Let's repeat the good things. Let's correct the bad things. And let's look forward to an opponent that we have a lot of respect for. I mean, these guys have always battled us and competed, and we have a lot of respect for the Duke football program. This is, usually a very, very tough competitive game for us.
Dave, there was been some issues there on campus. Obviously, we talked about the COVID, and the soccer team, their luck kind of ran out. They had 11 guys out and 5 starters. Do you just worry more when you see that it's getting closer and closer? And then, of course, the rescheduling of your games and everything with the other schools. Is it just a luck kind of thing at this point?
I mean, it's not luck. It's players making good decisions and good habits, and I think there's a fatigue involved with this. And we're not unaffected. So, I mean, we don't, we were down some players, and we are down some players. And it's limited right now. It's a small number, and we hope to keep it that way. But, I mean, how can you not be concerned with what's going on in our country, our state, our county, and our school? And so we're very aware of it. And like I said, when the season started, we have 11 teams we play, but the biggest opponent we have this whole season is going to be COVID, and it's not going to be defeated. So, at no point have I felt confident that, hey, we're fine with that. It is a weekly battle. And when I tell you guys that every time we test, I lose sleep and I hold my breath until we get the test results back, I mean, that is an every other day event. And, there's been a lot of rewards this season. I'm glad we're playing. I think the players would tell you that they're glad we're playing. But there's certainly been many unique challenges.
And Donovan and Jaquez, are they good to go? I saw the depth chart. They were still as starters, or is it still day by day for them?
It's day by day. I don't even know why we put out a depth chart anymore. I mean, I really don't. I mean, it's, again, I mean, there's always, a little bit of gamesmanship with this, that you don't want to reveal what's going on. But in a lot of these cases, I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I really thought we were going to have Luke Masterson on Saturday. And then in pregame warmup, he didn't feel good. Nasir Greer is going to be out for the year. So he got injured. And I was so excited that last week he had a great week of practice. And he looked like Nasir Greer again. And I was so fired up that, hey, we're playing North Carolina, and they got all these really good receivers, and we're going to get Nasir Greer back. And he got out there for a few plays, and he got injured. And I'm heartbroken for him. So he's going to be out for the rest of the season now. And, some of these guys, whether it's Donovan or whether it's, Kobe Davis or Luke Masterson, I mean, we hope, but we don't know. And so I was extremely confident a week ago that we'd have all 3 of those players, and we only end up having one of them, and he got hurt. And so, again, it's, we'll have 11 on the field, and we're not in danger of not playing. But it's like a lot of years that you get thin towards the end with injuries, and then you combine that with COVID. And, this is a challenge for all of us. I've talked to other head coaches in the league, and this is something that isn't unique to us. So far, we've managed it well, not perfect, but we're doing our best, and hopefully we can continue to play. And right now, I'm optimistic we can do that.
Along those lines, Dave, I know that the program's had to be nimble this season, but you've had to adjust your schedule a couple times now because of outbreaks other places. What are your thoughts about the changes that took place just yesterday?
It's 2020, Les. I mean, are there some things that I don't like about it? Yeah, I really don't. But I think, we're in this together with the whole league. And, teams are having issues. And I'm sure if we had issues, that hopefully the league would have the same flexibility for us. So, I mean, I don't, like having 4 straight games on the road. But, I like Manny Diaz. I respect Manny. I know that he's done everything he possibly can to keep his team healthy. And there's a lot of good coaches and a lot of good people in this profession that I respect that have had these issues. And so everybody's trying the very best they can. And so at times, has it created maybe some competitive issues? Yes. But I think in 2020, you've got to take a big picture view of this and say it's really secondary, that you got to do what's best for the health, safety, welfare of the whole conference. And I think we're doing that, and we're good partners in that. And, I think the league overall has managed this about as well as they can.
Dave, to follow up on that, do you have any worry of is getting late in the season, that maybe these games may ultimately have to fall off the schedule ultimately? Because especially for a team like you guys that are, you still have stuff to play for, in the way you've been playing of late. Do you worry that the schedule may not hold up, or not think about it at this point?
Aaron, control the controllables. So, I mean, it's, I wish my personality allowed me to just go with the flow with stuff like that. It doesn't. I worry about that stuff. I worry about our football team. I worry about their health, their safety. I worry about the mental fatigue. It's all of us. All of you guys, you're sitting in your homes, in your chairs, and, as much there's a convenience to not traveling, I enjoy our little chats after the press conference is over. That's the socialization that we all need to be human. And we're not getting enough of it as coaches. You're not getting enough of it as journalists, and our players aren't getting enough of it as student athletes and college students. So again, we're all trying the very, very best we can. And please don't take any partial quotes from the whole competitive thing. You guys could easily take that quote and spin it. Again, we went into this with open eyes, and we get it. And I just think right now, for anybody to complain about competitive equity or teams doing this or that, I just think that would be petty. I think that we are trying to get an ACC season in. We're trying to get a college football playoff. Who knows with the bowls? And we just got to do things right now for the greater good, even though that it might not be in the best competitive interest of your program. That quote I'm good with.
Dave, this is a question I'd love to ask after the press conference, but since there is no after press conference, I'll just ask you now. Going for 2 on the last touchdown on Saturday, I think I know the answer, but can you share the mindset of you and your staff in that decision?
We were so shorthanded at that point with players that I just thought the longer that game went on, the worse. And so my mindset was I was not going to play for overtime. And if you go for 2 down 14, you're now down 8. Onside kick, extra point, you win it. If you don't get it, you get a second chance at a 2-point play to then go to overtime. And so I just think, with 2-point plays, you're probably, going to hit on average a little less than half of them. And the way the fourth quarter was going, the way the trainer was coming up to me every 3 minutes that this guy's out, this guy's out, this guy's out, I didn't feel like we were getting stronger as that game went on. And so my decision was I didn't want the game to go to overtime. I wanted to try to win it in regulation. and I wanted 2 shots at a 2-point play. If we got the first one, we could win it with a touchdown and an extra point. If we didn't, then, I just felt good that we'd get at least one of the 2. And if we got the first one, that put us in a position to win. Is that the answer you expected?
Pretty much. Makes sense.
Well, at one point, did you feel like running from the trainer so he couldn't tell you anything, or what? How did that go?
It was just we got to halfway through the third quarter, and it was every other series. This guy's out. This guy's out. He's cramping. This guy we are evaluating for a concussion. I mean, it's in the middle of a series, and then I'm going to the special teams coordinator, and we're teaching guys positions on special teams that have never played before. And, again, I've talked to other coaches in our conference, but, the same team that played we didn't have the same players the last 20 minutes that we had the first 40. And we were, we were getting, we were worn down and we were getting thin. So yeah, I was trying to run away, but I don't know if, that was, if that'd be showing good leadership.
Speaking of not having the same players the last 20 minutes, as he became thin at the wide receiver spot, what's it going to kind of take to get like the guys like Nolan Gruel and Jamal Banks going for you this season and doing some things in the game for you?
Yeah, I think those guys are making strides, but I think it's like Donovan Green and Notorian Perry, right? When they first had to play last year against Virginia Tech and then Clemson, and then even Syracuse, that didn't go real well. Now, Donovan had a really good game against Syracuse, but other than that, and so I think before guys become good players, they got to go through that experience that the games against ACC defenses are a little bit harder than the scout teams. And, the other part of it is those guys in practice and spring practice and fall camp, traditionally, who are they going against? They're going against our backups. So they get some work against our ones. But again, those guys, they're going to be fine. They're eventually going to be good players. But when you get banged up, you need it to happen sooner rather than later. Now, I think the positive is, Taylor Marin has played exceptionally well for a redshirt freshman. Nolan, every game starts making strides. He's not maybe where some of those other guys are, but he's getting better. And I think he will continue to get better. And whether it's Donald Stewart or Jamal Banks or Keyshawn Williams, they're going to have their opportunities coming up here.
Dave, I'm sure some of the calculus for this goes into how good Carolina's skill players are on offense, but how does the defense adjust to the way they played in October and then taking the evaluation of what happened on Saturday, and how does it move forward from there?
Every game's different, Connor. Like I said, we did not have a lot of the same players out there at the last 20 minutes of that game that we played with in October. And there's only so many people you can lose, and it's going to start affecting performance. How good was our defense last year when we had Justin Sternat and Luke Masterson? And then you suddenly lose 2 players of that quality. You need guys to step up, but you're not going to be as good. And when you go against a team with the skill level of Carolina and top to bottom at the skill positions, that's the most talented team that we've faced this year. If you say receiver 1 through 5, tailback 1 through 3, and their offensive line is legit too. Like, you just can't cover, like, hey, they're going to try to get the ball to this guy. There's certain teams you play that if you take away target 1 and 2, you can win those other matchups. With Carolina, you can't do that. if one of those 4 or 5 guys gets open, the quarterback's going to find them because he has enough time to find them. He's going to put the ball in the money, and the guy he's throwing to can score a touchdown. And so there's plays, and then it's late in the game and we're down people. So what do? We start running some drop 8. And, you don't like doing that because then you don't have a pass rush, but you're not covering the guys. So let's get an extra guy in coverage. And then he scrambles for an 8-yard first down, or he runs a scramble for a touchdown. So it's against an offense that talented. And they're right now the best offense statistically in the ACC for a reason. It's pick your poison. And if you pick a certain poison and they can execute against that, it's a long day if you got everybody. And again, we cut some guys loose, and we need to do a better job, but it certainly wasn't for a lack of effort. And, we bounced back from NC State, and that's what football is. You got to respond.
Anything else, guys?
Well, I wish we were having chicken together right now.
We're not going to do a post-conference.
Dave, I got one.
We're not going to talk for post-conference.
or Bibbs and, Connor, some of those stories you like to tell when we get together afterwards, you can't tell those now, Connor, because this is being recorded. So be careful.
Dave, I got one more thing, if you don't mind.
Does it matter if I do mind, or?
I'm going to talk anyway.
You're mad because I didn't make a baseball reference today. I'll come up with one.
I'm sure you will before it's over. You go into a season and you talk about championships and you talk about big bowls and you have goals, outside of the norms, but there's always something big attached to it. In a season like this, do you get to Saturday night and just say, we got through the week, like almost regardless of what the result is?
No, Larry. I mean, I just, again, the anxiety level this year has been probably at an all-time high. And that's, even getting back from Syracuse, you're usually on those trips with us. And how enjoyable are those flights when you win a game like that? And all I can think about is, oh my God, I hope we don't have 12 guys from COVID from this flight. Yeah. That's just, again, I think it's the nature of coaching that, you probably don't enjoy the wins as much as the losses are painful. And I would say this year, the wins have been very rewarding because of all the sacrifice involved, but it's just never a year that you feel like you can ever take that side because there's a COVID test in the next 24 hours. And like I said, there's never a point that I've ever felt that, hey, we're good, we're past it. And again, the parents of the young men in our program have trusted me and our staff with the health and welfare of their sons. And we've never, ever take that responsibility lightly. And Dr. Miles, our team doctor, has done a phenomenal job. If there's ever a gray area, we're erring on the side of caution. So he's done an unbelievable job of advising us and keeping our football team safe. And again, we haven't been perfect, and we're having a handful of issues now, but overall, I'm really proud of how our football team's handled this.
Thank you.
All right. Kelly, who's that?
This is Bo, my 8-month-old.
Hey, Bo. Yeah. Bo, go Deeks. Bo, go Deeks.
Yeah. Say go Deeks.
Well, you better not be saying any, Kelly, you better not be saying any other teams on this one.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Well, hey, all you guys, I hope you're doing well, and great to see you. Stay healthy, and hopefully we can do this live at some point. So Will has a lot of extra money in his budget with all the money he's saving on food. So I would say the first time we get together, I don't know. I think there needs to be fillets or New York strips or porterhouses or something like that. All in favor, raise your hand.
Surf and turf.
I'll help fund that.
Sounds good.
Okay, there it is. I'm allergic to certain seafood, John. So if I'm going to help pay for it, I've got to call on the menu.
There you go. All right, makes sense.
Okay, it'll be surf and turf.